Welcome again to En Casa con la Plaza, Dan Guerrero Happy Hour. And as I stated, we pre-recorded this to make it possible to so that we can communicate, we can have this chat with our guest. So Dan, come on in and let's tell us what's going on.
Hola, how are you?
I'm doing well, Dan. How are you? I heard you were on the East Coast very recently. Tell us about your little trip.
Little trip. I had to fly across the whole damn country. But yeah, I just got back from New York either last night or night before. I'm not sure. I think I might have been here yesterday. So today will be very interesting. But luckily we have a fascinating guest that's going to make me wake up within minutes. So in fact, and you don't know this young man, and actually we've never met. So I'm looking forward to this. But he was well, anyway, he's going to tell us about it. So why don't you just go away quietly, or you can stay while I introduce him. Okay, however you want.
No, I'm going to go away and just control these little buttons here. So
Okay.
Have a good one, Dan. We'll see you in a little while.
I'll see you in a bit. Well, tonight's guest is a musical theater composer, arranger, orchestrator, director. His work has literally been seen all over the U.S. in the most prestigious venues we have. Ditto for Europe and Mexico. And he just had a very, very big night Wednesday night, I think it was. So he must still be on a natural high from that. He gave a sneak peek of an exciting new musical that he's writing, and he's going to tell us about that and a whole lot more. So I will say very simply, zoom in from New York City, Jaime Lozano. There you
Hola,
are.
hola, hola, querido Dan. How are you?
¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien, and you?
I'm good. I'm kind of sleepy, but you're going to wake me up because you got that great energy going for you, I see.
Yeah, let's have a party. You have your drink already there? I have here.
¿Qué crees? ¿Qué crees?
Yeah.
What do you have in that glass?
I have, to be honest, I don't drink alcohol, so it's just lemonade. But
Okay.
my wife say, if you are already crazy, I can't imagine you with alcohol or drugs. So don't don't do that. You are crazy enough. So
I would say it's a good energy as opposed to crazy, ¿verdad?
Yeah, I guess so, hopefully.
You have to be crazy to be in our business. We know that.
It's a crazy business. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But it's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, a good crazy.
Yeah.
And in this city, I mean, I am in New York City, there's another kind of crazy also.
Oh.
But it's fun. It's a lot of fun being here and just trying to tell our stories. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
No, I thank you so much. You had such a big week. Had I known about this big night you had at Lincoln Center in New York on Wednesday, I flew back to LA Wednesday night. And I thought, had I known, I'd have waited one more day so I could have been there. And I want you to tell us about it because you did a kind of sneak peek at a new musical that you're writing about Frida Kahlo, and you had a huge event that I heard people were lined up around the block at Lincoln Center. Well, Wednesday night, tell us about Frida.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was talking about crazy. It was a crazy night, but beautiful. We're very happy with the response of the audience and the industry people. We're writing this show, this musical about Frida Kahlo that we have been in touch directly with the family, with the Frida Kahlo estate, and digging and exploring and researching new material. A beautiful book written by Frida Kahlo's niece called Isolda Pinedo Kahlo, who used to live with Frida and Diego in La Casa Azul. Sí. And she wrote a book of her memories. So it's a beautiful book with a very different point of view. And we're basing this new musical in this book called Intimate Frida, Frida Intima. It's a very different point of view that we're very excited to share with the audience. And we put a concert together to preview 8 songs, the very first 8 songs that we have written for this show.
We have some images here. I want to show.
Oh, beautiful.
While we're talking, and I want to thank, is it Sachin Mittal, the photographer?
Yeah, that's Lincoln Center. I mean, look that room. It was full of beautiful people, Frida fans, producers, Latinx creative people, Broadway people, actors, designers, directors, composers. There is our mutual, very good friend Danny Bolero is right there.
That's right. Second from
Yeah.
the right, Danny Bolero, who did a happy hour as well.
Okay, let me tell you this. All that is a all Mexican cast. It's the
Wow.
first time that a Broadway show is starting with an all Mexican cast. We were in the room and all of them were saying, this feels so different and unique because I'm always the only one, or there's only another one like me. There are only one or two Mexicans in a room full of blanquitos, gringuitos, you know. And in this room was completely different. I mean, we were all Mexican and a few gringuitos that are supporting us. It's a beautiful energy, and I'm so happy that we are telling the story of Frida Kahlo and being authentic, you know, bringing a Mexican team, a Mexican cast, all the orchestra, a 15-piece orchestra, all of them mostly Latin or immigrants. They were all immigrants. Some people, some of them Mexican or some from Puerto Rico or Italy, but they were all immigrants. So, you know, Frida was an immigrant in the United States also. So there's a whole thing about representation that we want to say with this story. You know, I think it's very, very important.
Very important. And I understand the music is a fusion of Mexican folk music with lush contemporary sounds. What exactly does that mean? What does that mean?
I have no idea what is that.
Well,
but I would say that is Jaime Lozano.
No, sounds good. I didn't
right?
make it up. I didn't make
I
it
know,
up.
I know. I mean, in the show, I mean, you can listen guapango, son, joropo, bolero ranchero, rancheras, all these like mariachi styles. But we don't have a mariachi. We have these beautiful like Broadway or jazz musicians. So the music sound, it sounds like Mexico, but at the same time, it sounds like musical theater and sound contemporary. It's a beautiful fusion. I'm saying a compliment to myself, right?
Good for you.
If I don't say it, who's gonna say it? It needs to start with me, right?
That's right. That's right. And you have a big fan who was there that night. I think we have a photo también.
Oh, this is this photo actually is from a concert before, also at Lincoln Center. At Lincoln Center. I had my concert. I have an album called Songs by an Immigrant.
Right. And that's the one where Lin-Manuel said that you are a force to be reckoned with in any kind of Latin music, Broadway music, anything. You have a big fan in him.
He's a very good friend. I am his fan, and I'm just glad that I had his support as a friend. Like in every single time that we are doing a project, I have worked with him in a lot of projects in different capacities. I have been one of the few people when he write a song, I always help him to transcribe that song to the music score. Because you know he's very busy, and so he just sent the music, and I write the actual music notes based on his singing and his playing and his you know, the track that he creates. So I'm very lucky to listen to his music like in the very first when he's creating that. And to be honest, I have learned a lot from him in that way, like working with him in that capacity. And then as well as doing those transcriptions, I was like an orchestrator for the Heights movie, for example. So I have had the honor to work with him in many capacities, and he's always also supporting us. He's a big supporter of my work, of this thing that we're doing about Frida, and I feel so lucky and so blessed to that he's opening so many doors for people like me, you know.
I'm sure, in case those don't recognize him, we're talking about Lin-Manuel Miranda, who of course wrote Hamilton and The Heights, all that. That's who we're talking about. I want to go two places at once, and I can't decide which place to go first.
Let's go both. Let's go both. Don't worry.
That's right. We will. Well, I want to back up a little bit because I would imagine that's a huge gift that you got, as you said earlier, permission from the Kahlo estate from her. How did you pull that off? There must have been a lot of people looking to license it and get that permission. How did you work that out?
I mean, to be honest, I know that there have been a lot of efforts from different people, different writers around the world to tell the story of Frida. I mean, we know that. I have heard that there's someone trying to write a musical about Frida here and there, but none of those musicals, I mean, they are based on what we all know as a public figure or in another specific book written by someone else. So the blessing that we have is that we have that, I mean, directly the family. I mean, you know, the blood who are their connection like through blood. I mean, they're the ones directly coming from her. And so we have access to many more information, like letters, like this personal book that I just mentioned to you. And we were very lucky to find a way to reach to them. I showed them a couple of songs that I was working on. I mean, I felt about Frida, exactly. Yeah, about Frida. They love them. They are so an amazing and beautiful human beings, and they open their heart. It's their family, the ones who had the Frida estate. It's Frida grand niece and the daughter of the grand niece. And they opened her heart. They opened the door of their house. I went to Coyoacán, to La Casa Roja, where it was another of Frida Kahlo's houses, and they live there still. They still are in that house, and they show me like a lot of material, pictures, letters, and just being able to have access to all that and to all the anecdotes, you know, that went through generations. You know, there's a lot of stories that they're not written anywhere, but that I mean, her mom told her, and the mom of her mom also told her, you know, all these stories that go generation by generation, and just being able to have all that information to use it in this musical. It's very, very different. You know, you can feel it that is coming from the heart.
Yeah, and from a very more personal point of view, I would imagine.
Yeah,
you must have been so inspired as they were showing you things. I'm sure melodies started floating through your head.
Yeah, and you know what I think. Something when we think about Frida and what we know about Frida, we see her paintings, and sometimes we just think about this Frida that when you pull the prefix like sufrida, la sufrida, because we're always thinking about this Frida in pain,
but, suffering.
Yeah. But no, there's this other side that Frida loved singing. She was singing like the whole time. She loved dancing. She used to ask to her niece to dance for her because she enjoyed like watching people dancing. She loved to sing like songs, like Mexican songs. She was a very joyful person and a guerrera, you know, a warrior. That even with all those struggles in su salud, with health and in personal life, she was always honest, and she painted all that. But she was always like trying to go beyond that, you know, like being the very last painting, she signed it with a phrase in Spanish, "Viva la vida." It's a painting with some watermelons, and it says in big letters, "Viva la vida." And she signed that a few months before passing away. So that was the love that she had for living, for life, you know.
Sure. In spite of everything, I want to talk a little bit about you're mentioning an all Mexican cast or Latinos, etc. And Broadway has certainly changed. I mean, I remember the Broadway I knew before you were born, and how thrilled I was when Priscilla Lopez a Latina with a major role in a Broadway musical, a chorus line was a big deal. You just didn't see us. We don't count Chita because Chita Rivera is in her own world. She stands above all. She always existed. Pero as a normal thing, going to theater, you never saw Latinos. And now they even have something called Viva Broadway that I want to talk about. We have an image of that here. Viva Broadway has been around for a few years now. In fact, I happened to be in New York the year they announced they were going to be doing this, and I attended with some people, blah, blah. And now, is this an annual event that you did, this Hear Our Voices?
I have done it the last couple of years. The first year was a virtual event. It was very unique because actually we had Chita Rivera as part of the event, and we have people from the West Coast, Jaime Camil, who is an amazing Mexican actor.
Sure.
He sang a song because it was virtual. We were able to get people from all around the world. So it was a big event. It was directed by Sergio Trujillo, an amazing Tony winner choreographer.
Who also did Happy Hour.
Oh, yes.
Broadway Latino.
Yeah, I mean, we are a beautiful community of Latinos, and that is what Viva Broadway it's a representation of. There are many Latinos, not only actors. I mean, like you mentioned Chita and Priscilla, but like choreographers, directors, composers, writers, as myself, playwrights, stage managers. I mean, there's a big Latinx community on Broadway, and we are hungry to tell our own stories. That I think sometimes we're lacking of that. And Viva Broadway has been helping to be, a stage to put those stories. So I did that first 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. No, 2 years ago. The first Viva Broadway virtual, and then the next year, when we reopened Broadway, we did a beautiful concert in Times Square.
Oh, wow.
That was last year, around this day, September something, because it's during the Spanish Heritage Month. And we have an amazing Latin cast. Bianca Marroquin sang there. My wife, Florencia Cuenca, who's also an amazing singer, performer, was part of the concert. All the best Latinx singers. We have a huge 12-piece orchestra in the middle of Times Square. It was right after the pandemic. I mean, we were just reopening, so we didn't know what was about to happen, and we ended having audience, like thousands of people, like 3 blocks of people. It was an amazing concert. And the best part of the concert is, for example, at the end, when the concert was done and we were walking out, people that they look like not white, like cafecitos, like café con leche, or the colorcito, they approach me, or they approach my wife, or they approach other singers, and they start, we needed to see this. We don't see people like us on stage. And then another person approaches, and my daughter just go to study musical theater to London because we knew about you, because we know that you're from Mexico and you came here to study, and we know about your journey, and you inspired her to go to London to study musical theater. Even she wasn't sure that there was a place for her because she was Mexican. She went. I mean, I think that is the best award that you can have, the best reward, when what you're doing is inspiring other people. And doing these concerts, doing Latinx shows, doing these albums with Latinx stories, doing these interviews with Latinx people, you never know who's gonna be on the other side. Maybe we're saving a life, or maybe we're changing someone's life,
Of course, but I want to back up a little bit. Some of you said where the cafecitos were saying they don't see themselves on stage. But you know what? I've been to a million Broadway shows in my day, God knows. You don't see that many Latinos in the audience either, unless it's On Your Feet, or it's a Latino themed musical. Pero you don't see that many Latinos in the audience. What is that about? You think because they're not relating to those stories? What is that
I,
about?
I mean, definitely, I think that is one of the reasons. Definitely because we don't see representation. For example, in Mexico, telenovelas. It's very weird that since I remember, all the telenovelas are starred by white women, and I mean like white Mexicans, and
Hey,
even people from Argentina, just because they're white and beautiful
that's
and
right.
handsome.
That's right.
So we as Mexicans, when we're not like, we don't look like that. We think that we're not able to be on TV, or we're not able to be on stage. We don't feel represented. We don't see that representation. So I agree that because we don't see that representation, uh, we don't feel related with those stories. Even stories are universal. I completely know that
Right. Right.
all the stories are universal, but we need to be more specific. When we see a story that is addressed to us, that is that specific, and I can relate in a closer way, that's gonna make me, to go the extra step, to pay for a ticket, to go to acting school, to get into that, because in other way you just see like something that is far away from you.
Yeah.
You are not able to be on stage because you don't look like that. And also, to be honest, Latinos, we are very busy working also. So sometimes theater is so expensive.
It's a luxury. It's a luxury.
Yeah. So I think that we're gonna find a balance between all these different layers about this financial thing and that representation, and so I think we're getting there. Definitely, we're getting there. As you said before, you used to get very happy when you see like Priscilla Lopez and all that. It was just one actress.
That's right.
In all Broadway in 20 years.
Yes, that's right.
Right now, let me tell you, it's a little bit different, but not that different. I mean, we don't have a Latino show right now on Broadway. The last one was On Your Feet.
Yeah.
And before On Your Feet, the last one was In the Heights. How many years before?
Yeah.
Like 10 years before.
Yeah.
It's
like when Zoot Suit first hit back in the 70s.
Yes.
It sold out the taper. It moved to another theater, ran for 2 years. As you know, it did not run on Broadway. But even the taper, after a huge success like that, it was 2,000 years before they did another Latino product.
Yeah.
The Zoot Suit was a smash. You would think, hey, let's look at it's another 20 years before there's
The thing is, because we don't have that representation in all levels. I mean, we were talking about actors, directors, playwright, composers, but that also means casting directors, and that also means producers. Yes. I have a big respect for my brother, my African American brother, my Black brothers. They have a big community on Broadway.
Yes.
And they have big producers on Broadway. They have worked really, really hard to be able to get their shows to Broadway.
Not just Broadway, television, film.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they have worked and done everything and gotten in positions of power where they can greenlight a project. We don't have we don't have those people in any of the media who can say, yes, let's do that story. We don't have them yet.
Not yet. I mean, there's some big names, but I think that they're still haven't realized that they have another mission also. That our mission as artists is also support other stories and support other people like us. That's what that I think we need to get to that step. That when other people that is in a bigger position than us can be able to say, I want to support your story. I want to support your story, and eventually get to the screen, get to theaters. I know that we are in that direction. Yes. And it's just a matter of a few years till we get there.
Well, you better hurry, because I ain't that young. Now, I want to back up a little bit to your beginnings, because you're a native in Monterrey. Right?
Monterrey, Mexico, así es.
Monterrey, I'm assuming that's where your love for music began. Tell me about your upbringing? What did your parents do? Were they artists, musicians?
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. No one in my family is related with music, theater, or art. Actually, I was supposed to study criminology. I,
Wow.
yeah, I actually did. I present the admission test. I got in, and right before actually enrolling to school, I decided no, I don't think that criminology is my thing. And 1 year later, I enrolled in music school. I was already 18 years old.
But from where? Why did you pick music? You could have picked anything.
I don't know. Being completely honest with you, I was a very odd kid. I was like I always felt different. I was very bullied when I was a kid. I mean, because I used to go to this school with because I have a scholarship. I got into a private school, but all the people in the private school, they were like rich people, and they used to make fun of me or bully me. So I always felt like I didn't belong anywhere. I was very quiet. Now, as you can see, I'm not quiet anymore.
You broke through. You broke through.
Yeah, because I found many years later, a language that I knew that was my first language, that was music. But I never realized that till I got into a church choir, and when I was 16 years old, that was like my first kind of approach to music when in a church, like singing in a choir, and was my first and only like approach right before music school. I enrolled into music school because I like singing in the choir. That was the only reason, and because singing in that choir helped me to have a voice. Or originally I wanted to be a singer actually, and I started studying like opera singing. That was like my first thing. And when I was like half of my college, I realized that I wanted to do more. That I really wanted to not to sing other stories, but that I actually wanted to write the stories, to write the songs. So I changed my major, and I have to start over. And I do music composition in college in Mexico. But it was like music found me in some way, and I just took the decision to from one day to another one to follow her. You know, it wasn't like I planned it or I always wanted to. I never imagined myself. I never had the dream of being on Broadway. I never had the dream of living in New York City. I never had the dream about being here tonight. I mean, in this city, it was something that was very far away from me. I used to watch TV. Oh, that's nice. When I arrived to New York City in 2007, I came here because I got a full tuition scholarship from NYU to do a master program in musical theater writing, and I didn't speak a word of English. 2007.
Wow.
I was able to read. I could read it and kind of understand, but I wasn't able to speak it. And I remember every single day after school at grad school at NYU, I had a terrible headache because I couldn't understand anything they were saying. I was able to understand maybe a 10 or a 20%, and that was just at the end of the day like with a terrible headache, you know. So it's like when this decision has taken me to the next step without really knowing. I'm a very I just like to do things more than a dreamer. I like to say that I'm a doer, and I just do things. Of course, because of that, I do a lot of mistakes and I took a lot of bad decisions. But there's a line in one of Stephen Sondheim shows, in Sunday in the Park with George. They say something like, maybe that shows could be right or wrong, but the choosing was not. Something like that is the line. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. Just being able to choose is already right. You know that. So I have been able to make my free decision, my free choices, and that's why I'm here talking with you today. You know.
But I want to back up to your school because you did receive first of all, you got your you earned your BFA in music and composition in Monterrey at the university in Nuevo León.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then you received a full scholarship, as you say, to New York's University's Tisch School of the Arts, and you were the first Mexican to be accepted to and to earn an MFA from the Graduate Musical Theater Writing Program. That's huge. Did you even realize what a groundbreaking thing that was, or you were too busy getting headaches?
Both. I mean, I knew that was something weird, and more because I didn't speak any English. Actually, when I remember that they told me at NYU when I came for my applicant weekend, they told me, I mean, the faculty at NYU, not the faculty, the administrative director, she told me, we don't have scholarships. You need to make sure that you have the money to come to this school. And I told her, yeah, of course, I have the money. I have a scholarship from Mexico and blah blah blah. I have grants. Of course, I didn't have anything. I have nothing there. But I was afraid to say no. I don't have the money, and they we was oh no, he's not gonna get in because she was doing her work. I was trying to find that the people was able to pay the school. And then I got that scholarship from nowhere. It was completely a surprise for me. I didn't know that they were actually like giving those. And at the time, I kind of feel really proud. Oh, yes, I'm the only Mexican. Oh, yes, blah, blah. And then I realized that also that's a little bit sad. Because, because that's not, I mean, it's a very specific program in musical theater writing. And in Mexico, there's not an industry about musical theater. It's something that is not too big yet. So I understand that maybe there's not too many Mexicans interested in studying something like this. But at the same time, I was the first Mexican, but only like the third or fourth Latino being accepted in almost 20 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's sad, something that I like the fact that yes, I'm doing things and I kind of trying to open those doors for me in some way and trying to keep those doors open. But it could be easier if we all together open the doors. You know, it's not just about one person. We're a community, and I think that we're stronger as a community. And I think that sometimes the organizations don't realize that we need more that diversity. We're lacking of that. If we need, and in a city like New York, New York is a city with a huge diversity. So you don't see that diversity on school or on stage. You go and see on Broadway a show that's supposed to happen in New York City, and you don't see New York City.
It's the same thing, Los Angeles, and there'll be a TV show takes place in LA. You'll see a single brown face. Have you been to Los Angeles? We have a lot of brown people here. But you interesting that you bring up the first, because there was sad for everything. Every time I read, this will be the first Latina to ever be a governor, or this is the first Latino, and you go, wow. And at the same time, you go, really?
Exactly.
In 2022, there's never been. So it is a double whammy there. I want to ask about because you're as comfortable in English as you are in Spanish, and you're saying in Mexico that is true. There are not a lot of people wanting to go to musical theater, but yet in Mexico they love Broadway musicals, and you've directed 1 million of them down there. Broadway musicals, Into the Woods, Jesus Christ Superstar, Jekyll and Hyde. And when you're writing your music, all this is jumbled, but you'll work through it. When you're writing music, it's got to be different for you if you're writing something in Spanish, a composition, as opposed to English, not only because Spanish is your first language, but because some things, as you know very well, said in Spanish is poetic. And then you translate it, not so much.
Yeah.
So what is the process if you're writing something in English or writing something in Spanish? Is it more difficult? Do you feel more limited because it's not as poetic in English sometimes? What is that difference there for you, if any?
I mean, Yeah, definitely Spanish is more poetic, as you say, and also English is very monosyllabic. You know, English is very short words. So the way that your melody works, I mean, you can say you need more words to say something. I mean, no, it's the other way around. I mean, with Spanish, because the words are too long, one word doesn't mean anything. I mean, if you're gonna have a sentence of many syllables, you know. So
Yeah.
your melodies need to be more cantabile, even longer, more together, and it's very hard to do what they call in English pattern songs. The pattern songs are those songs that are very fast,
Right.
because Spanish is more about the well, lo cantabile, the way that you sing the words, and the English is more rhythmic. English is very like because very monosyllabic, you know. So definitely the feeling. I have done a lot of translation. I mean, like I have songs the same song in English and in Spanish, or I used to translate musical theater that was original in English into the Spanish, and yeah, the feeling, the way that you connect with the song is very different. The way that the vowels sound in your mouth, you know, the way you have to keep in mind, if you're writing like a high note, you need some kind of vowel so that the singer can sing in an easiest way that high note. You need an open vowel. I mean, there's like many considerations depending the language that you are writing. But at the end, I think the most important thing is the story, you know. And what I would say is I love writing in Spanglish. I think that's my main language now. I think Spanglish it has been like underrated for a long time, and it's really one of the most the largest languages in the United States. I mean, and it's a language because it's organic. It's not.
Yeah.
I used to make fun because I didn't speak English before. I used to make fun of the people who used to study in the United States, and then they go back to Mexico and they were just talking like with English words or with a little, you know, like they were speaking in Spanish and then throwing a word in English. And why are you doing that? Just speak in Espanol. Don't be ridiculous. And then when I moved here, I realized that's the direction that you go because your life is in both languages the whole time.
It's organic. It's organic for us.
And now I go to Mexico, and then suddenly I started speaking English words with people that doesn't speak English, and I used to hate that from other people, you know. But it's because there is this beauty of being struggling in between. You know, I think that is a blessing. That is not a struggle, you know, but it's a struggle that you have to enjoy because you have both things. Even I was born in Mexico. My life is here and I'm in between. But my son, I have a 6-year-old son. He was born here and he also speaks Spanglish. He's learning both languages at the same time, and he's going from one to the other one. And I just think that is beautiful. I know that there was a time that our fathers, our parents, they were afraid of us speaking Espanol. And I completely understand that. And I completely respect all our brothers, Mexican or Latin brothers, that they don't speak Spanish. You're not less Mexican or less Latin because you don't speak the language. You are the same, because we all have a different journey, you know. We all have a different journey as Latinos in this country. But I think that nowadays, in these days, we shouldn't be ashamed to speak both languages or to speak in between, to speak Spanglish.
Yeah, I that's still such a controversial notion, though. Unfortunately, it is.
Yeah.
I was doing a TV talk show a good many years ago with Maria Conchita Alonso, and it was for Telemundo, and it was all in Spanish, of course. And then sometimes she might say, "Vamos a comercial. We'll be right back." I get a call. Too much English. Too much English. I'm like, we're coming from Hollywood. We're not in Mexico City. We're not in Buenos Aires. I mean,
Yeah.
they were just all over it. And yet almost a decade earlier, I was doing a talk show for Univision with Paulo Rodriguez. It was totally bilingual. We even had American English language guests. We'd have the biggest stars of all, Jean-Claude Van Damme, big stars sitting with Lola La Trailera and sitting with Veronica Castro. And he would talk to them in English. He'd ask the question. They'd answer in English. He would turn to the camera, do an instant translation. We were on the air 3 years.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Bilingual talk show. And then 10 years later on Telemundo, they'd have a cow if Maria Conchita said 2 words in English. But that's a whole other show. You talk about the importance of the story, and you can write any kind of story, God knows, any kind of music. And it all boils down to that if we don't tell our stories, who will? Because even though you can do anything, a lot of your projects are Mexican or at the very least Latino. You have an album and shows that you've done at Joe's Pub and 54 Below, which I love, and Jaime Lozano and The Familia, songs by an immigrant. Tell me about that, and also that's where our friend Miranda said that you were a force of nature. So you also do Desaparecidas. I think we have an image of that, which was an all-female cast and band. And tell us about that particular piece. Do we have an image there? Yeah, Desaparecidas. I think your wife was in that one, right?
Yeah, the thing is, since the beginning, I knew that I wanted to tell stories that I feel related, or that they are from my country, or that are from my culture. And I knew that I wanted to use my music, the music from Mexico, the music from Latin America, to tell those stories. I respect and I love American musical theater. I have learned a lot from it, and I can do it also. I can write a rock show, or I can write a musical theater show. I mean, I have the skills to do it, but I'm not interested to do that. I mean, there are great composers in the United States that they can do those shows. What I'm gonna try to do something like what they do. So I decided to just go and be honest and be myself. I believe that honesty is the main thing when you're writing something. You have to be completely honest. And I go back to my country to write those stories. Desaparecidas, unfortunately, is based on the femicides of Ciudad Juarez back in the 90s. And we start doing a research. We have meetings and interviews with people from Ciudad Juarez, people affected by those times. And we create a show based on those interviews about women, about resiliency, about women empowerment. When we had a concert at Joe's Pub at the Public Theater, where my wife was part of the cast. It's a show actually that I'm writing. The songs are music by me, by myself, and lyrics by my wife and me. We're writing together the lyrics. All the songs are in Spanish, completely in Spanish, but the show is in English.
Wow.
The story, the show, the scenes are in English, but every song is completely in Spanish. And we have had a few very successful concerts, and we are premiering the show as a musical theater piece this December in a theater in Brooklyn called Jack, New York. It's a beautiful, very off-Broadway theater, and we are premiering the show there this December.
Wow.
And we're very excited to try this because it's something very different. This story that it's a very usually you don't see stories like this in musical theater. It's like about these femicides, and doing it with songs completely in Spanish. And my what I want to do is I don't want to use subtitles or subtitles. No, I want the audience to be able to follow and to feel the songs, and let's see what happens. I mean, we're gonna try it. Let's see what happens. We have the scenes. We're trying to make it work on some way that the scene is enough to set the song and to set the story, and then the songs are gonna be more like in a Brechtian way. They're gonna make you feel something that even if you don't understand exactly what they're saying, that you can connect, and let's see what happened. I mean, we are very excited, and I think that those stories need to be told. We want to honor and to tell the stories of these women, and like that show, and like Songs by an Immigrant. I just have my mission. In a lot of interviews, they ask me, "But can you write something else, like something different?" Yes, I can, but at least in the next 5 years, 6 years, I consider my mission to be writing these shows with this kind of music in this way. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but right now I have this responsibility with myself and with my people. And that's why I put together this group that I like to call The Familia. The Familia is this group, the amazing Latinx Broadway and off-Broadway performers that they sing my songs all over the world. This flyer right now, it's a concert, the first La Familia concert in Mexico City. We did the same here in New York City. I have people from all the Broadway show, Latinx people singing my songs. And this year we went to Mexico City and we invite performers from Mexico City, and we did exactly the same. So it's a concert that more than a concert is a party because we have 10 or 20 performers singing my songs, and I feel so honored and sharing who we are, as Mexican, as Latinx people, telling these stories.
Was that all the lyrics in Spanish?
In Mexico, yes, everything was in Spanish. There were some songs that I wrote originally in Spanish, like the one from Desaparacidas, but there are other songs that were written in English and that we do all translations to present in Mexico in Spanish. So we can connect better with the audience. I mean, if we're going to go to, with a Spanish audience, we don't want to be a snob and just sing in English. No, I mean, we want to connect with the audience because this is about storytelling. So you need to go to Spanish.
Tell me about a very interesting piece, English with an accent, which is a hybrid dance theater work that you're doing. That sounds so interesting. Miguel Angelo, he's Venezolano, right?
Yeah, Miguel Angelo is a very, very good friend. I have been working with him for 4 years now. And he had this idea about this piece. I co-wrote the piece with him. He's a singer, performer, dancer, and this piece is about his journey to get to the United States, but look through the eyes of a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, or an immigrant turning into a person being able to stay in the United States. It's like that is like the metaphor. And it's an all dance piece. I mean, we have songs, but the language on stage, everything is dancing. We have a group of, we premiered the piece in Washington at a theater called Gala Theater in Washington.
It's been there a long time, the Gala. It's been there a long time that you're doing Latino theater.
Exactly. We premiered there a few months ago. And then we went to Mexico, to Monterrey, to record the album. And we're going to have the show now at Lincoln Center also end of November. We're going to premiere the show in Lincoln Center, and we're so excited. And as you can see, I mean, all these stories are related with who we are and with our journey as immigrants or Latin people.
You're doing such important work, right? Groundbreaking work. It's important, that. ¿Cómo se dice en español? Groundbreaking work.
Groundbreaking. I don't know. It doesn't have like a translation, really. But it's I don't know. That's a good question. Groundbreaking.
There's got to be something like that. That's something like that. Oh my God, we're almost out of time.
No.
I know it's been an hour. We can talk another hour, pero I know you have work to do. What, I don't know, is there anything you want to close with, or anything you want to say or I haven't brought up that you want to talk about?
No, I think that we have been talking about who we are. I think that's important.
And telling our stories, our stories.
Not we shouldn't be afraid of be who we are. I think that is important. In arts and in musical theater, telling our stories is important. Those stories deserve to be told and heard, not only for us. These stories, I'm not telling my stories only for my people, only for my paisanos and mi gente.
Right. Ya saben.
Yeah, everyone can relate with that. Of course, the representation is important. We see our own story and we feel seen and we feel heard. But then suddenly someone from Japan approached me. Oh, I'm from Japan, but that exactly that you're telling, that story happened to me also. I have the same immigrant journey. I have the same challenge. When we are so specific and tell our stories from the heart with honesty, the world is gonna relate with that. They're gonna recognize themselves on those stories, and I think it's important that we tell the stories, definitely.
When are you going to bring your stories to Los Angeles? We're here.
Oh, I'm dying for that. Yeah. Hopefully next year. Why not? Yeah. If you have any idea, let me know.
I will.
Yeah,
I know everybody here. Maybe you bring something to La Plaza. Abelardo, come back.
Abelardo, invítanos a la plaza, Abelardo.
Abelardo.
Buena idea. We will make it happen.
Yeah, let's do it.
I thank you so much. I do. Abelardo, do you have any questions for Jaime?
Sure. I'd like to know, I see the guitar cases in the background. How do you compose your music? Do you do it on guitarra, on the piano?
I do both. I have a piano there. I have the other piano. Actually, back there, what you see, one is a guitar and the other one is a bajo quinto.
Oh,
like a norteño instrument, the bajo quinto, like the one from Los Tigres del Norte.
Yeah.
And the other side, I have a vihuela, like a mariachi. But I'm not really I like to play instruments, but I could say that my main instrument is writing, is composing. I play in my concerts, but usually I like to compose most of the time with no instruments. Sometimes, just in my head, you to think the melodies here, to think about the structure of the song, because I feel if I got in with an instrument, I'm like putting myself on a box. Sometimes, like because I'm gonna be just able to play what I can play with the instrument. So if I'm really just thinking the music in my head, I can go to different places and not only put what my fingers can do with the instruments. So I don't feel like trapped, So, but there's many ways. I have written songs with guitar, with piano, with no instrument, in the subway, just recording myself with my phone, a voice note. Yeah, there's many ways, depending where the inspiration gets me.
All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, so thank you, Dan. Thank you, Jaime. Just a quick note. I was scouring online and I found that you do have a pretty nice website at JaimeLozano.net.
Oh,
it's a great website. It's a great website.
And here a listing of all your work in the theater. You have quite a few here.
Yeah, and I'm missing some. I need to update it. But yes,
you're too busy.
Yeah, and it's very expensive to update it, so it's gonna need to wait for a big project.
Okay.
No, but thank you so much for your time. It has been an honor and a pleasure to be able to have this conversation. I really appreciate that you invited me for this.
We appreciate your time very much, and I get to know a couple of times a year. So if we can't get you to LA, we'll get together for a little traguito. You can have lemonade when I'm next to New York. With Danny, we'll get Danny Boledo and we'll get drunk.
Yes, yeah, let's do it. Salud.
Thank you so much. Y gracias.
Gracias. Hasta pronto.
Keep up your groundbreaking work.
And let me look for the Spanish translation for that.
All right. Gracias.
Gracias a ustedes. Hasta pronto.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody. And stay tuned for a little more news about what's happening at La Plaza. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.